In 1977, one man set out to change his church and rural community. He was armed with a vision and a prayer. His mission, secure economic opportunities through a working church and make life better for the entire community. Many people wondered, how could a common man accomplish such a difficult task? The answer was simple for the son of a lowly sharecropper. His vision and dream would become a reality through hard work, common sense, and a good business plan. This is the remarkable story of Bishop Luke Edwards, the insightful and innovative Pentecostal minister who founded Citizens for Research, Education, and Community Hope, Incorporated, or REACH. This is the modern-day parable of a working church. This video presentation will show you exactly what REACH has done under the leadership of Bishop Edwards and how he has given his church members a chance to pool their resources in order to improve their financial and spiritual condition through a lot of hard work and initiative. Citizens for Research, Education, and Community Hope Incorporated was established by Bishop Edwards for the simple purpose of providing a way for people to help themselves through self-reliance and individual initiative programs. Edwards believes the church is responsible for the poor, the homeless, and the unemployed. REACH has managed to give his members an opportunity to grow spiritually and financially through a highly profitable collection of businesses owned and operated by the nonprofit organization. Headquartered in Meridian, Mississippi, Bishop Edwards Christ Temple Church and REACH owns over 5,000 acres of prime farmland in Alabama and Mississippi, meatpacking plants in Mississippi, restaurants, motels, and housing developments in Alabama. The nonprofit group also operates an automotive and transportation division. REACH is most proud of its HOLYLAND facility, a home and educational complex for children and adults who have no place to go. REACH is a good example of what a church can do with vision and leadership. We have come this far by faith, are words from a hymn written more than a half century ago. The words are still sung in many black churches today. However, Bishop Edwards and REACH believe the church has not come far enough. They are convinced the church can be a refuge against a hostile world, and REACH is a perfect example of a refuge, an extended family that provides social welfare services, education, economic and leadership development, and community hope.
It's a vehicle. This vehicle is designed to deliver our people from poverty and take them on to higher heights and give them opportunity that has never been given them before.
An old African proverb says it takes a whole village to properly raise a child. REACH believes the black neighborhood should be that village, that extended family. This theme is evident at REACH's HOLYLAND complex in Emile, Alabama. Organized in 1985, HOLYLAND is located on 4,000 acres of rich black belt farmland. The unique Sumter County facility contains Christ Temple Academy. The school operates a nursery, a Head Start program, and a K-12 program for 150 students. The 60-acre tract set aside for HOLYLAND also houses a cafeteria, 2 dormitories for boys and girls, a modern learning resource center, a community medical clinic, and an office building. All the campus buildings were constructed by members of REACH and Christ Temple Church.
In the beginning, we were looking for a place that we could do some things to help our children, and that was to bring them out of the environments of the intercity, because we know it has been corrupted, drugs and killings and so forth, and we realized we had to do something. In order to do it, we had to find a place that we could teach and give them the right concept behind life, and not only that, to make them realize that they could do things to help themselves and create a new environment.
Education has always been one of the main components of REACH's ministry. Christ Temple has been very successful at educating students and providing them with a deep sense of religious and moral values. Many of the pupils come from broken homes, and several are first-time offenders assigned to the facility by the courts. But at HOLYLAND and Christ Temple Academy, their lives are changed. They are allowed to play and grow and be children, and they also receive the proper discipline and guidance that will help them become responsible adults. Christ Temple Academy is fully accredited by the Accelerated Christian Education Association. There are no structured grade levels for the school's students. Every child is taught on an individual basis at their own learning pace. The academy is open 9 months out of the year. Fanny Grantham is a teacher at Christ Temple Academy.
First of all, you have to think about REACH as a whole and what we're trying to do with our children. And the public school was, well, we all know that the public school it does not teach what we believe, for one thing. And with Christ Temple Academy, we could not only teach them academically, but we could also instill the scriptures, in the things that we believe, and we have the freedom to teach them our religious beliefs and our cultural beliefs. We teach them about their own people more than just 1 month in a year.
As a youngster growing up in Michigan, Bishop Edwards dreamed of becoming a farmer. Today, his dream has been transformed into a profitable farming operation which provides good jobs for REACH members and the local citizens of rural Mississippi and Alabama. Farming has been on the downswing throughout the South's Black Belt region, but REACH has managed to turn things upward by subscribing to a very simple business philosophy. Profits from farm holdings are used to maintain the operations, expand the farms, and provide an income base. Bishop Edwards believes that blacks must forget the sharecropping days. This is a new day, especially when you own the farm.
Actually, we have to go back to Booker T. Washington. Short lapse of slavery, he began an institution to teach the black farmer that the importance of being able to survive, and not only survive, to become a producer, that he would be somewhat inserted in the American dream, because when you farm, you raises a thing that people have to have for their livelihood, and farming certainly, I feel, is the basics for the black man to put himself in a position where he is in demand and something that he can control.
In 1994, the group started a livestock operation in Scuba, Mississippi. It is an impressive feedlot facility for hundreds of head of cattle. The operation provides work for 4 people. REACH also runs a large hog farm in Decatur, Mississippi. The huge farm is known as a pork factory, specializing in raising top-quality grain-fed pork. The operation maintains a highly scientific breeding and feeding system. All of the livestock raised at the Scuba and Decatur farms are eventually sold to restaurants, schools, hospitals, and other institutions.
Farming has certainly been our backbone, because the farming means one thing, that we are able to supply our own food. We can raise our own meat. We have our own processing plant, our cattle and our hog, and just about everything that we use, we can derive from the farm. And this is certainly has been profitable as far as we are concerned. It has helped us even where food stamps and other things would have been a substitute.
Alabama and Mississippi's Black Belt region was once known for its labor-intensive cotton farm, exploiting generations of African Americans. Today, the cotton plantations have been replaced by pine tree plantations that provide few jobs for the residents, and many of those who migrate from the area never return. A large percentage of those who do stay come to rely on welfare. REACH and Bishop Edwards are breaking the cycle of economic dependence through basic farm principles.
The livestock and the hog operation certainly is in demand all across the country, because people everywhere does not understand. They understand the eating of the pork chop, they understand the ham, they understand the bacon, and they understand the barbecue ribs and so forth, but they do not realize the factory that produces that. A farm is certainly a factory that produces these items, and we look at the farm, we doesn't look at it from a standpoint of a hog farm. We look at it from a bacon and a ham and a pork chop factory that produces things that men and women, girls and boys just have to have in this life.
The cattle and hogs that are raised on REACH's farms will eventually make their way to one of the organization's 2 meat processing and packing facilities in Mississippi. Meridian Meat Packing Company, started in 1983, is located in Meridian, Mississippi, and Choctaw Meat Processing Plant, located in Ware, Mississippi, went online in 1983. Together, the two plants' 7 employees process over 4,000 pounds of beef and pork every week. The meat is dressed and packed for retail and warehouse distribution throughout the South. Troy O'Banner is the manager of Meridian Packing Company.
The fact that I'm working for the church and myself, it means a lot for us, the accomplishment that blacks can do as a whole. And by me being a manager, it has proved to me that, not only can younger people do it, but it doesn't matter as far as the age or how you carry yourself. It just, you have to be able to accomplish your goals.
During the Civil Rights Movement, a great deal of attention was placed on the opening of social accommodations for blacks, especially in the restaurant area. Today, anyone who has the money can eat at the establishment of their choice. However, Bishop Edwards and Reach are convinced that is not enough. They believe blacks now must strive to own restaurants, and Reach has done just that.
So to get the middleman out the way, we felt that we would have to have a restaurant where we could go from A to Z, that is strictly from the farm to the consumer.
In 1986, Reach purchased the Southwood Family Restaurant in Utah, Alabama. The restaurant's 11 employees serve about 100 customers a day. The establishment runs a catering service, a meeting hall, and a gift shop. The facility is open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. 7 of the 11 employees are members of Reach. The other 4 workers are residents of Greene County, which has one of the highest unemployment levels in the state. Sidley Walker is the restaurant's manager.
I was the mother of 11 children, and right after I got in Reach, my husband passed. There was no way in the world that I could take care of those children. Even when he was living, it was hard, for 2 to take care of 11 children. 11, 13 on a family, it was really hard. But since I got in Reach and he passed, I had no worry. All of my cares were taken care of. All my children taken care of. Food, home, clothing, everything, their education, everything. So it meant everything to me.
South of Utah, in Livingston, Alabama, Reach owns the Southwood Deli. The small fast food outlet began operating in 1988. It is open daily and employs 2 workers. The business provides much-needed work for people who have no other place to turn. This restaurant is another example of what people can do if they are given guidance through proper leadership. They can literally work out their soul salvation. 11 miles south of Livingston in York, Alabama, Reach owns the Southwood Pizza Kitchen. This business was opened in 1989. The restaurant's 4 workers serve fast food and pizza 7 days a week. The restaurant is a valuable source of pride for the blacks in this small rural community. All of Reach's employees have a personal claim in the enterprises where they work. Therefore, they know the benefits of hard work. By now you're wondering, how does Bishop Edwards motivate and guide his flock to the ways of capitalistic America? Well, it is simple. In 1969, when Edwards founded Christ Temple Church, the majority of its members were on welfare. But today, things have changed. He has shown them the true church of God. Through his leadership and vision, every member of the church is gainfully employed. Welfare has been replaced by workfare, and despair has now become hope. Their educational, health, and financial needs are all taken care of by Reach. They are very confident when they say, "The Lord will provide, and the Lord helps those who help themselves."
First of all, the church ought to be able to instill confidence in them, their self-respect and their pride and their dignity. In order to do that, the church must become a part of business. Sometime we misunderstood the church, or still misunderstand it from the standpoint of just the spiritual part. But there's a natural part, because the man is both spiritually and naturally. So the church today have to provide for, the black church today will have to provide for its people from the standpoint of financing and the tools or whatever it needs to set them free. If the church does not do this, no lending institution will ever let blacks have enough money to free themselves. And it's certainly going to take money in order to do this. Freedom doesn't come cheap. It's a hard road to hoe, but working together, if the church is set up according to the Bible, even the IRS recognizes the church, that's what you call a 501D, which exempt the church from having to pay taxes if they set up and operate according to the church. And this will provide monies for them to start businesses within the city and in the rural areas.
Bishop Edwards' philosophy and plan for black liberation are deeply rooted in African American history. He believes Marcus Garvey and Booker T. Washington were men who shared his vision of independence and self-determination. Edwards has been labeled a conservative, a militant, a nationalist, and a Republican. He sees himself as a very pragmatic, business-minded religious leader who has discovered a simple cure for many of the social and economic ills plaguing the black community.
Any church can do this. This is according to the Bible. Any minister that understands the biblical history know that the church has always supported its people. The church is the people. The church is not the building. And any church in America can do the same thing that we're doing. All they have to do is follow the guidelines of the Bible, get back on track, and do it exactly as the Bible says. Today, if you notice, the church raises, I guess it's the most blessed financial institution among us. In other words, we collect more money in the church than any other entity that we have. And what happens is what has become a situation where we look out only for the minister and not for the church. And the church today will have to get back on track if we are to ever get out of the dilemma that we're in. I call it a dilemma because of the fact it's almost like the Crawford syndrome. We're in a pail and we can't get out.
This charming subdivision in Utah, Alabama, is again another example of reach in action. When this modern community is finished, it will provide homes for 132 families. The average cost for these 3- and 4-bedroom units is around $85,000. Reach is very proud of the fact that these homes were designed, contracted, and built by black craftsmen. This community's foundation is being built on Bishop Edwards' solid economic development plan of self-help and self-determination.
We feel that what we are doing there, any church in America could do the same thing. We pool our resources because no lending institution is going to let us have the money to build those kind of houses with. And we believe in upgrading the standard of our people's living. And the only way you can upgrade the standard is build something that's a little beyond his reach and encourage him to reach it. And we've been questioned many a times, well, why don't you build this kind of house in this summer where it's low income and so forth? And my answer to that, there is no such thing as low income. That's a mentality that they have put on our disc to make us think that we can't afford any better. But if you would just check the ABC stores and the drugs and the liquor stores and not only that, the beer garden, then you would find out that these people could certainly afford these kind of houses. Now, we knew that the bank was not going to let us have the money to build those houses. So in order to upgrade our home living, there are some things we got to do to help ourselves.
In addition to building homes for the middle income sector, Reach is planning to build 35 less expensive housing units on this site in Utah. The development will give the moderate income residents of this community an opportunity to purchase their own home. Reach plans to have these units completed by 1996. Bishop Edwards believes the church has an obligation to provide its members with the necessities of life, like a decent place to live.
So when you build a subdivision like we building there in Utah, we know money is going to come into that subdivision. Now, if we don't do something there to allow that money to circulate, it'll just run right back out. So we call it a dam. We're going to put a dam in there. That is a supermarket. Because first of all, we know people are going to eat. Secondly, we're going to put a clothing store there. We're going to put a restaurant there. We're going to put everything that they would need. Because if you will take note, and I repeat again, anytime the federal government put up a project or housing for blacks, there's never a shopping center there. Some other race come in and put up the shopping center. So then what does that do? That take away our monies. So we will not build what you would call low-income houses, because if we do that, we are keeping our people on a level of putting on a disc a message that we don't want to be that they are low income and they can't do anything better. I found if you'll encourage people and get them to set goals for themselves, and we certainly is a witness to that. When you see what we've done, it's because we set goals. Because 96% of our people were welfare recipients, but look today, they have their own job, they make job for others, they're building subdivision, they have processing plant, they have motels. That shows you with the right leadership, we can do as well as any other nation or any other race on the face of this earth. But when we use low income, we're more or less talking about blacks. And we'd like to get rid of that stigma.
Alabama's Black Belt attracts thousands of tourists every year. They come to see the monuments of the Old South and to hunt deer in the state's vast timberland. Reach has capitalized on these weary travelers by offering them lodging at a very affordable price. In 1993, the group purchased the Livingston Motel in Livingston, Alabama. The motel provides much-needed jobs for the members of Reach and also for the residents of Livingston. Helen Johnson is the inn's head housekeeper.
Yeah, I get the most joy knowing that I can be myself, that when each morning when I get up, I know that I have a job to come to, and I look forward to coming to my job. And like I say, that I receive joy just knowing that when I'm coming to do it for myself, and that I don't have to be worried whether or not someone's gonna put me down or whatever.
On the eastern side of Alabama's Black Belt, Reach acquired the Western Inn Motel in historic Tuskegee, Alabama. This 100-room facility, once owned by Holiday Inn, has proven to be a sound business investment for the organization. Historic Tuskegee University continues to be one of the top tourist attractions in the state, drawing sightseers from around the world. Martin Crawford is the inn's manager.
And I'm very satisfied. They're changing people's lives, putting people to work, and giving them some incentive that they can look forward to saying, well, I've been, my life has been changed, and we think that, from my standpoint, it's the best thing that could have happened in this type of situation, because if you look at the situation with the state, with our country, black organizations don't seem to survive. But this organization has survived down through the years. And now it's at the point now, it's really doing some meaningful things and people's lives are being changed. And when I see that, that makes me feel like going on, putting 99 and 150% of my efforts to make that difference.
Reach also owns the Western Inn in Utah, Alabama. The 65-room motel was purchased by the organization in 1993. The Motor Inn provides a firm tax base and 7 jobs for the residents of Greene County.
Actually, in motel, we realize today that more people are traveling than ever. There are more retired citizens than we ever had before in the history of mankind. So we realize those people that are traveling are going to have some place to stay. And we thought by going into motel and so forth, it would not be set up for just blacks only. It's set up for people that are tired and people that's traveling and people on vacation and other things, and that has encouraged us.
Reach Incorporated also owns and operates this automobile service center in Utah, Alabama. Purchased in 1989, the center is a full-service truck and automobile repair shop and parts store. Charles Ruffing is manager of the Auto Parts Store and Repair Center.
One thing I really like about Reach is it's a job that you come through. There's no pressure on you. And you can work at your pace and really learn through what you're doing and get a better understanding of what you're doing.
Reach owns a fleet of trucks used to transport cement. They also own and operate heavy machinery needed for the organization's construction projects. Life is very hard for many black Americans. Many of our faithful souls have always believed that religion would help them make it through the bad times. The church is the one institution that provides hope for the future. However, in today's world, the church must do more. Its tremendous resources and potential compels it to do more. No other institution in the black community receives as much of the money earned by African Americans as does the church.
The blacks can do as well as any other race on the face of this earth, but among them there is a crawfish syndrome. And the bottom line, what I mean by that is, you can take crawfish and put them in a pail. You don't have to put a top on the pail. They'll stay in there because every time one start out, the other one will pull him back. And that syndrome has destroyed the black man's progress. And somehow from slavery we have not been able to overcome that slave mentality where when one started out, the other was encouraged. So people are happy as the crawfish are being in the bottom of the barrel and breeding a syndrome they call Down syndrome. And until the black church realize and go after the problem is Down syndrome in our midst. In other words, we'll talk one another down, we'll pull one another down, we won't work together because that has been inbred in us. And we're going to have to realize this is the one thing we got to overcome, and that's to trust one another and to invest in our own neighborhoods. It's foolishness for the black minister to tell people and talk to them about heaven. Most churches you go to, they talk about heaven more than earth. Now, I think it's about 95 or 98% earth, and the other 3 or 5% is heaven, because we have to occupy on earth until the Lord comes. Most churches know more about heaven than they do their own neighborhood.
Reach's achievements in the business sector have all come about through the use of a sensible plan, perseverance, and intelligence. The group has tapped into a wealth of experience and talent that resides in the black community. The simple principle of faith without works is dead sums up the basic belief of Bishop Edwards and Reach. They strongly believe that black America's survival depends on the church. It is the only viable, organized force that can break the cycle of dependency in the African American community. The sleeping giant must awake and fulfill its mission. Reach is committed to helping people help themselves through church involvement and individual initiative. If you would like to find out more...
Okay, Cheryl, this is your friend Eddie. This is the conclusion of this tape. I have many more, but this was done many years ago. I met Bishop in 1992, and on my TV show, you probably know he's taking people. When I visit him, I was so impressed. I videotaped our meeting and brought it back to the studio and put it on my show, and so many people were so much impressed with this individual, so they couldn't believe it, so they wanted to go and see. So I'd taken the first time 14 people from Oakland to see the bishop. We stayed there a week, ate good food, slept good sleep, and we still didn't see all of what he has. Anyway, this is the conclusion, and hope it serves your purpose. You requested it, and as the young folks say, whoops, here it is. Okay? Talk with